take yours too. You fire musket, but I'll run you through. So when you're waiting for the next attack, you better stand, there's no turning back. The bugle sounds, the charge begins. But on this battlefield, no one wins. The smell of ice cream smoke and a horse's breath as a virgin into sudden death.
Did it.
Hey,
we're going to do the intro?
What's that?
You're not going to do our intro?
No.
That's okay.
No, we don't need
First show
an
ever
intro after Iron Maiden, man.
I know, but you know I love our intro.
Yeah, I do too. But anyway, we don't have to worry about that because if you guys are still getting commercials through any of the shows, I demonetize the whole damn channel.
Yeah, we don't care.
So I ended my contract with AdSense. And let me know if super chats are still in there because I want those out of there too.
Get them out of there.
So someone check and see if a super chat thing's loaded. It shouldn't be because unless that's different than AdSense, and it may be, and then I'll have to go in and take care of that.
You'll sort it out.
It's too bad Pat wasn't here for the Iron Maiden.
Pat.
Yeah, he was bitching about my squeeze tempted last week, right?
Hey.
Okay.
Week 2 true crime?
Huh?
Week 2 true crime?
Yep. Hey mods, copy that link for me, please, at the top. If you Mona or as I think Sassy Sandy, I think I made you a mod, by the way. Whether you wanted to or not. Okay, good. No super chat.
Woohoo!
Looks like I got a super chat. They call me Fumble Fingers. Okay, so let's get right to it. So course, Garrett and I are late to the game because we do paranormal stuff, but apparently Kegan Kline has confessed. It seems like he's playing a very memorable role. He said that he waited in a red Jeep, which his dad owns a red Jeep. So, and said that I guess the father killed the girls while he waited in the Jeep. I don't know that I believe that. And I'm sure that is, and let's show, here's a picture of the red Jeep. Oop, there you see it. Okay, there you go. There you go. There it goes. I'm feeling silly today. Sorry. This is actually, I took this off of Tony Klein's website, and also a good friend of mine also sent me another one. I had a duplicate of this, so thank you, Matt, for that. But anyway, yeah, 2015 he bought this, and he said, my new ride. So there you go. And also, let me show you something else that's kind of interesting. Well, no, I'm gonna wait. Okay. But anyway, so we'll take that back off here. And you know what I don't like about StreamYard?
No.
Is because like when we had OBS, we could do a slideshow, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it would keep us in the picture. All you have on this is overlays, so it goes over your thing. But they have a slideshow, but you can only do it in PDF file, or it was some other file that I have no idea how to use it. Right?
It's fine.
Yes. Okay, so and I made a few notes here. So like, and as we all know, law enforcement's been searching the river for about 4 weeks now. Did you guys know that? Put a 1 in the chat if you guys know that they've been searching the Wabash River, and sources say this is related to the Delphi murder. Why they are searching the Wabash River.
That seems like a really long time.
Hang on a second. Can't copy. Okay, hang on. Let me dang, Sassy Scene. I always wanted to say, can one of my mods do this for me? I've never been able to do that. But I know some of the guys, so if you guys want to come on and talk about this is interesting. And for once, I think, God, how many times have we said this, Garrett? And not us, but all the other YouTube guys who've covered this case. I think we're almost there. You know?
Right. We were even talking about that earlier on the phone.
But I am tired of saying that. I am so freaking tired of saying that.
But
I'm tired of seeing pictures of Tony. I'm tired of seeing pictures of Kegan without a sentence past that says has been arrested.
Right.
For the murder of the Delphi girls.
But because we do other shows and we only touch on this every 4 or 5 months or whatever it is, I mean, to me, it seems like we're in a much more clear path than where we were when we very first started. And we were just,
oh my God, we were
shit on the wall.
Yeah,
right.
That was just throwing mud on the wall, man.
It seems like it's getting more and more specific and kind of, it's making sense a little bit.
Well, it is making sense.
God bless, man.
So
that's going to be the day.
Yes.
Whoa.
So, man, there was a story. I want to share this with you guys because I found this on another website, so it's not like I discovered this or anything like that.
Keith discovered this, what you're about to see.
I did not. I found it, but I want to show this to you because I think it's interesting. So let me do this.
You can do it.
Let's see. It would be right there.
I'm impressed with you.
I'm not. Okay. So this article was written in 2019. Now we know that Kegan claimed in the interrogation that his father owned a 380. Okay. 380 pistol. So it says, Peru, police say volunteers found a loaded handgun Saturday near the bank of the Wabash River during an event to clean up the waterway. Peru Police Chief Mike Meeks said a 380 caliber gun was found on the 200 block of East Riverside Drive near the Peru Civic Center during the city's annual Detrash the Wabash event. So what this was is they had a bunch of people coming out to clean up the Wabash River and all the crap around there, right? And so these people found a gun.
Right, for sure.
So he said the volunteers who found the gun first called Peru Utilities, which oversees the cleanup, and the utility company then called the police. Credit to them and credit to Peru's utility for calling us first so we could process the scene, Meek said. Officers discovered the gun was loaded and had another bullet in the chamber. However, the firearm appeared weathered and worn, indicating it had been laying there for some time. Garrett. He said the gun so far hasn't been linked to any local crimes or investigation, but the department will hold on to it for up to 6 months in case another law enforcement agency can link it to an investigation or the weapon is reported lost or stolen. Some people won't know their gun is stolen for years, Meek said. He said it's not uncommon for volunteers to find drug paraphernalia or the remnants of meth labs discarded along the river, but this is the first time anyone has found a handgun. We're just glad the volunteers did the right thing and called us first, and no one was hurt.
Loaded with one in the chamber.
Loaded with one in the chamber. Now, the interesting thing is, let's remove that. If I can figure that out. I about played Iron Maiden to get on accident. Okay, so I want to show you guys. This is very, very, very interesting. Okay, so I know my pointer doesn't work on a stupid StreamYard, but I want you to look at the red circle that's in the middle part of the screen where it says Wabash River, East Riverside Drive, right there.
Right.
Okay, now I want you to look to the left. That dot there is where Tony Klein lives.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, that's too much of a coincidence, I think.
Wow.
How close is that? And yeah, so, you know, so Kegan says dad has a, let me take that off now. The dad has a 380. So they find one in, I think he said 2019, right? Looks like it's been weathered. So it's been there for 2 years. If it was used in the crime, it makes sense. And then they usually say they get rid of their guns
in 6 months,
which that's something that is common. I feel like I'm really loud. Am I too loud to you guys?
You're great.
No, I mean in my ear, I'm just busting my eardrums out. But let me know if I'm too loud and distorted. Oh, there we go. I hate glasses. It's like I see this, I can see close with them, but looking far away, I'm like, oh. Okay. So anyway, okay, so Garrett, I'm gonna ask you.
Okay.
What's the chances of Tony Klein owning a 380 and then basically finding it in their backyard? I mean, across the wash back.
Right.
Now
well, I think that like the fact that he's somehow seems connected to this situation, right?
Yeah.
That makes it even more weird. And then on top of that, do we hear a gun click?
Yes. That they say.
What happens when you do that?
You hear a.
I know, but
that's what someone said. You pull the.
Yeah,
and that means you put a live round.
Exactly.
So it even gives more credence to.
Right.
Or is it credence?
Yeah, credence is fine.
Credence.
It's neither here nor there.
Great band.
Credence Clearwater, CCR.
CCR. No. Yeah. So I mean, and that makes more sense. I mean, I think I hope to God, like I said, I think we'll see. It goes on my notes. Okay, great.
I got it. Keep going.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I can hear you.
But no, I mean, I'm just hoping that we're finally coming to a close. And the thing with the Wabash, I mean, I wonder if they found something. Did they find something? Did they not find something? How fast do you make that arrest? You know what I mean? Like, let's say they found a knife or something, a weapon of some type. Do you go right out and arrest the guy? Or here's also, I was kind of wondering about too. So for me, the longer they searched, to me, is like, okay, they haven't found anything, but perhaps it was, we found one thing. There could have been other things that, maybe was over there that Kegan may have admitted to besides the weapon. Maybe there's some other stuff, but they kept looking and kept looking. So I don't know, man, but to me, it's,
4 weeks is a long time.
Do you think they found? I mean, the rumors, what I've heard, in fact, I just heard this on, somebody just said it today on their website, that they had a good source that said, yes, they did find something.
Well, to me,
that's connected to the case.
If you're still searching it, then it means, they probably found something and they're going to keep looking. Because otherwise, he's a known liar. He lies about everything.
Yes.
So for me, like
is this for a plea deal?
Yeah, but my point is, like, knowing that he's a liar, and we're just sit around and talk. We're not professionals. Mm-hmm. So if he says, I threw this, and this in there, probably after like 2 weeks of man hours, and from what I have heard, they put the divers up in hotels, so a lot of money going into this.
Right.
It seems like after 2 weeks, they'd been like, well, he's a fucking liar.
Yeah,
asshole. Like,
no, that would be true.
Or they'd scaled down or something.
Right.
So I'm wondering if maybe they found something and they're like, oh shit, we're on to something. We got 1 out of 7 things he said were in here, So could be why it's a prolonged search in the river.
Right.
All I'm saying.
Hang on, I'm just looking at the chat. We don't.
True dat, Sassy Sandy.
like to be on what? I'd love to be on TK wall right now. Mona, he's a liar, but law enforcement think there's some truth to what he says, hence the search. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, if they come up with a knife, then he's definitely telling the truth. But I feel like here's what the guy's going to do. He's going to throw his dad under the bus and say, "Hey, man, I drove my dad out there. You know, he'll either
distance himself.
He would have known about the murders because of the weapons, right? The knife, whatever. But yeah, I stayed in the Jeep, man. I didn't, you know, Dad said he was just going to whatever, and he killed him and came back, and I freaked out, and I don't think that's the case at all.
Well, you know, and how they put people places, right? Like in an investigation, an interrogator can actually lie to them.
Right.
So if they know, if he spilled the beans on his dad about a couple things and they found some evidence in the river or whatever, they can always go back to him like, dude, we have surveillance of you now.
Yeah.
Like, you were the one driving, weren't you? Or were you were in the car? Somebody's putting you in the car. They can lie about it. And then that just gives them more. Okay, yeah, I took him, but you know.
And how,
you get what I'm saying though? Like,
yeah, how interesting will it be if they do take Tony and just hear his, you know, because he's going to have his own story, right?
Yeah.
Kegan did it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
They're going to blame each other. And this is also, I want to answer someone's question. Someone asked me not too long ago, that rumors have been going around that Tony has been arrested. That's not true. In fact, someone called his cell phone a few days ago, and he did answer. So I wonder what they asked him.
No.
I mean, call and hang up on him?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, so they're, you know, there's pictures of them standing in front of the Jeep.
Yeah, you sent that to me.
Yeah, the thing is, like, you know, of course he was going to, I don't know, if you're going to throw your dad under the bus, of course you're going to say it's a red Jeep because he knows his dad drives a red Jeep.
Right.
I mean, it's almost kind of useless information
for sure
to an extent.
Yes.
But what I'd like to know is, you know, bloodstains stay in vehicles for a long time. What happened to that red Jeep? Matt, do you know what happened to that red Jeep? If you do, put it in there. Or actually, Matt, you're very welcome, dude, to hop up here and talk if you want. I got to paste this. Bing. There it is. Okay. So, yeah. So, I mean, the red Jeep, whoever, you know, say he sold it, whatever he did with it, there's still a chance there could be evidence in that car.
For sure.
Blood from his pants, you know, I mean, transfers to the carpet, you know, but they're not, I hate to say they're not stupid because they are stupid.
Right.
But I bet he scrubbed the shit out of that car with bleach.
It did something. I'd be curious to know.
But you never know.
To the Jeep.
Never know. That's what I'd like to know. Yeah, if anybody knows what happened to the Jeep, let's see. He was so
well. If it's his 380, I mean, how far is the river from where it happened to the girls? Like where they found the 380.
The 380 is in Peru, and that
right.
And so, were you talking about Delphi? How far that?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a ways.
Yeah,
it's a ways.
And he just happens to live there.
Yeah. I mean, it's somewhat close, but it's not like 5 miles away.
No, I get.
That.
Yeah.
It's actually further away than that. But you know, so what's else on here? Let's see. I wonder. Yeah, I just put that. I wonder if law enforcement located the Jeep and checked for blood or Delphi. Yeah, I mean, you would think so. So Matt, do you know? Matt, just click on here so I can ask you some questions.
Yeah, because
Matt said it was sold. But you would think right now they would be doing, I mean, well, ever since Kegan supposedly confessed that they are looking for that Jeep, right? I mean,
right. Oh man, that's like a needle in a haystack though.
Oh, well, not,
well, I mean, I guess there should be record of them selling it.
There should be a record of sales because the title has to be changed.
Right.
I mean, it might be a long process if you don't have the VIN number and you know it's a red, you know, whatever year Jeep that was. That's a Rubicon.
Dude, it's just so complicated. Like every aspect of this case it seems like a rabbit hole.
Right.
There's always, it's not a dead end. It's just like an open-ended, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it goes on forever and ever.
Yeah.
And
that is interesting about the car though.
Yeah, and I find it interesting too that like Tony Klein, like, and we've talked about this before. If somebody accused me of murder, I'd be on every damn show going, "Hey,
that
was not. I had nothing to do with that."
Exactly.
You know, even after Kegan was kind of throwing his dad under the bus. Like, well, he didn't say he did it on the interrogation, but he was saying, well, yeah, he's capable of violence and hurting people.
Right. Well, and we know.
And then plus, Tony's had to see social media. Like, I would think he'd be looking around and going, holy shit.
Well, I'm sure he can't go anywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. From what I understand, that they have
aware of it.
Yeah. So, in fact, let me show you this. This is a picture I got sent to me a while back. And this was right here. Well, there we go. So you see, that's Tony's house, and then there's a squad car behind his
that's
home.
super interesting.
Yeah. So what I remember, because I remember when that was going around, when they were saying that there's a 24-hour watch on Tony after.
Do you think that's really a watch car though, or do you think it's just like an old?
I mean, you really, it's hard to tell because you can't see the side enough to see if there's an emblem on it. But and I kind of tried to look to see if someone's in it, and it does appears to be a driver in it. And that's my guess. I don't know, man. I mean, that did cross my mind, as maybe that's a car from a cop auction or something.
Right, for sure.
But it's hard to tell because but I think I see some writing down the lower left part, because usually they peel off the emblem and all that stuff, or you can't see anything, but it does. I don't know, man. But I mean, that was, remember when I don't want to use that other guy's name, but I can't see him. But he was stating, and I think Matt, you even said something about that they had a police officer watching him 24/7 after this was going down.
Well, I was talking to Taylor the other night. She happened to ask me about Delphi. Yeah. And one thing I told her is the guy had like 11 devices, did he not?
Yeah.
And to go through all that, the web of this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, all this stuff is just so complicated.
Like, who has that many phones? I mean, and that's something that,
a full-time job. That would point towards a ring. Of
that's something last
time.
Just
saying.
Yeah.
That would point towards like a ring, an operation. Because I even mentioned it in the last show. Like, he was probably making money off this Anthony shots. How many of those did he have?
Well, we don't, I mean, who knows if this guy was not selling. He's probably selling pictures, getting them on Venmo, getting money off Venmo or Cash App or something.
All sorts of things.
Man, I don't know. That's gross and it's sick. I mean, if they're, at least we know they're both guilty of that. I mean, I would think that they would have pulled Tony in. Again, we talked about this too, just because of his association with the pornography.
Right.
Because remember how we talked about it before the show started, that even when that one profile had a different type of language than what the other ones had. So it wasn't like it was Kegan doing everything.
Right.
So but maybe that's because they're suspecting him for the murder. They don't want to screw anything up, and they want to get all their ducks in a row, is what I'm guessing is the evidence or something like that.
I absolutely agree.
But, yeah. So pull that down. Here's one thing I've been finding. And I don't know who this is, but let me see if I can find it here. Okay, so I did a search for Kegan's confession, right?
Right.
And this was after the murder sheet did it around the same time. This person, however, I found whoever this was, it was showing up in everything.
Okay.
Every feed I went to, this thing was like, you go down a few and then there it was again. Then you go to, say, Reddit. There's that same post, and then again. So I'm going to read it. It could be hearsay, but it says, here's what I've been told. Kegan is the man on the bridge. It was already known by law enforcement, but he has now confessed. Kegan claims he took the girls to Tony, who was waiting at the kill site. And if that's the case, then he abducted them, took them across the bridge. There is more audio, but it hasn't been released because prosecution believe it will taint a jury and is not admissible because of editing. Law enforcement, circled back to Kegan in 2021 with new eyes on the case after previously dismissing his involvement twice. Law enforcement believed Kegan was the murderer, but now believes Tony was responsible. Kegan says he went to the car and waited at the CPS building. Kegan says Tony discarded the knife out the car window into the Wabash on the way home and burned his clothes in a barrel in their backyard. Kegan says he does not know what happened to the gun he used to control that he used to control the girls because it was Tony Kegan's attorney is. I'm sorry. Period. It's hard to read. Kegan's attorney is using cooperation to try to negotiate a lighter sentence for the CP and will not face charges for the murders if he's telling the truth. The search of the river is not complete, and they will be back out Monday, if not earlier. If I think of anything else, I'll add it later.
Oh, there's a lot of things in that. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, that was more than what the murder sheet said.
Wow.
I'll tell you that.
It's things we've talked about
Right.
a lot.
And they
using a gun to control two people. We talk about it a lot.
Yep. And to me, like I've always said, the voice to me didn't sound like Tony, but it did sound like Kegan. And that was one of the things I tried to wrap my head around, was trying to figure out, like, he had to have been there somewhere, right?
Right.
Garrett, I wonder if there's somebody who could maybe know a little more about the case than us.
I wish you had like a.
I wish I could like. I wish I could magically like move my fingers like this.
Do you have a doorbell sound effect?
I don't, but I think I have a bell ring. Let's see.
That's perfect.
Let's see if we can conjure up
standing. Maybe 5'11".
Maybe somebody. Oh my God, it's a great man.
Hey, Matt, how are you, man?
Hey, man, good to see you, brother. You look good, man.
Wow.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
You look good,
man.
Good to see
you.
you.
We get to talk to Matt. I like Matt.
Yeah, there's one thing that I talked to Matt yesterday a little bit.
You can talk to him all the time.
Well, yeah, I do.
Lucky.
It's because he likes me better than he likes you. Anyway, so yeah, Matt, one of the things we talked about last night on was, I was saying, Matt, it can't be Kegan. This guy's way too, Kegan's too huge. This guy's skinnier. And Matt brought up a really good point, and I started thinking about it and thought, holy shit, you might be right.
What is it?
Matt, tell them what you told me last night about that.
So essentially, I don't remember what the term's called, but on iPhone specifically, the cameras adjust when you're taking photographs and video. And so if something is in front of things in the background, it can distort them or make them look thinner or different than the way they truly appear. Obviously, this is just a theory that I have as to why that, he looks significantly smaller. But at the same time, it could, in my opinion, very well still be him because we know that with the video, Abby is in front of this gentleman. And so if Liberty's kind of recording and, there's movement in front of the camera, it could possibly distort an image in the background, especially if he was significantly back there still. And we know that he was around 60 feet away at this point. So
right, and angled as well. That can distort things as well. I'm going to pull up this picture here, and it's just the picture we've all seen. Bridge guy. Yep. I mean, yeah, it's hard to tell. I guess the only thing my discrepancy was the legs look a lot skinnier, but
they do.
But you know what? I'm a fat guy with skinny legs, so it does. And I can't say that I really looked at Kegan's legs to see if they're skinnier. Guys usually carry all their weight up top, and then we'll have skinny legs, and that's, my case is kind of like that. So it's possible, and it makes more sense, Matt, because I really thought, man, that sounds like Kegan, but where the hell would he have been? I did think, and it does look like Tony too.
It does to me. I've always felt that it looked like Tony, but I've spoken with so many people who disagree with that. It's so subjective that, I was almost sure when I first saw Tony Klein that was the individual we were seeing there. But so many people were saying, he's too tall, he's too large. But like I said, if there is some form of discrepancy between what we're seeing on the video because of editing or some kind of filter that would have been on her phone, then that can really create an issue. And that might be the reason why they removed the height and weight from the profile a few months ago, because they kind of realized that maybe this was the case.
Yeah, I gotta admit, man, I'm surprised. I'm an Android user. I did use iPhones for a while, but man, video is usually crystal clear on my phone, and even on my old iPhone, it was pretty clear. It's just weird that phone she had looked like
But she was.
It was from the 40s or something.
I think
the film.
I don't have Snapchat, but like Cass and all them like to use it. I think you video through the Snapchat app though, right? I think that's kind of what you're saying, Matt, right?
Yeah, I think she was using some form of app, and that's going to have filters on it. If you take a look at the images that she took from the bridge, you can get on the bridge nowadays with a brand new phone and find the exact spot where the camera was taken, and it still doesn't look right. The platforms look further or closer. Things just don't look right. And there's also a difference between the selfie cameras and the ones that are on the front of the phone or on the back of the phone. And so sometimes you'll get a clearer image with one side of the phone cameras versus the other. And we also don't know if she's filming in selfie mode and let's say she's, walking the bridge, because it'd be pretty foolish for her to turn towards him to film him. I've always kind of been under the assumption that she's filming in selfie mode and that he's approaching from behind and they're aware of it.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I never thought about that.
And as they move, there are trees and things that are in front of
So it's trying to focus on different things.
Well,
and
I mean,
not...
Cass is a photographer. Lighting that time of day is awful. It's literally the worst time of the day. And 60 feet's pretty far.
60 feet is far. If you've ever tried to, went outside and tried to film the moon or something that's far away, it can look massive to our eyes. And then you get the camera and it just looks really small and, you really can't get the image properly. And, he was, like I said, he was 57 feet away. He was just after the final platform. So the 6th platform.
What about there being 2 people down there? I mean, that was your theory early on.
What's that?
2 people that made a picture of one guy, voice of another.
I think that could also be it too.
Could Kegan been at the end of the bridge and that's his dad walking and Kegan says down the hill?
Well, early on
that was my theory about 2 months ago or so. Maybe.
So why did you change your theory though? Because that's a good theory because I think it's possible.
It was just kind of like the progression of rumors, some of the things that the podcast was leaking.
Mm-hmm.
Things just started to seem more likely that, there's one individual that's approaching on the bridge and another individual who's either below the bridge or kind of far away that kind of helps him to control the situation.
For sure. That's something. That's something Keith, you talked about early on, and I was like, no way. But in the Evansdale/Delphi episode we did, we were talking about kill spots, right? Like, to me, that seems like a real strategic place to, right? Yeah. You got them going, well, there's only one way to go.
Right.
Matt, you've been on that, right? You've been on that. Yeah.
Did you guys try taking pictures just for fun? I mean, just see if anything kind of looked any similar to what they had? I mean, did you
actually
any video?
We tried to recreate the whole thing. Took camera footage from where we believed Liberty was standing off the bridge. Even though I know that it has some errors, obviously we didn't have as much information when we were there in December as we do now.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to pretty much recreate the exact spot where the suspect was and things like that, map it out. But we don't have that stuff out publicly because we did it with Anthony Greeno and we kind of had a falling out. So
you and everybody else.
Yeah.
I hope that guy's done. But we won't waste our time talking about that guy. So, okay. Yeah. On the height thing though, that you guys didn't, we talked a few months ago about that. And didn't you think there was a discrepancy? Like you thought, well, we can't exactly get the height.
Well, basically we determined that exactly what law enforcement said, the 5'6" to 5'10" was exactly correct.
Okay.
We were able to line it up within a couple inches and, it was probably sitting around 5'7" to 5'9". It looked on video.
Mm-hmm.
But they would have added it like an inch on either side probably to kind of give it a little bit more room for fluctuation. But the fact that there are 4 inches of fluctuation should have kind of told us that there might be a discrepancy going on with what we're seeing, because it should be easy to decipher based on trees and stuff that were near him. But once we got there, we realized that depth becomes a problem. The way he's stepping can fluctuate the height. The fact that each of the boards is, it might be sitting an inch or two lower than the one in front of it. All these things that you don't really think about. Liberty could have been standing on something that was lower than he was.
Sure. Yeah.
It creates these illusions that make it difficult to kind of ascertain the height.
Mona's got a good question. What about the theory that the murders were for a purpose of a snuff film?
I think
that'd be right up their alley.
Yep. Given everything that's kind of come out about this porn ring stuff, and I think it's very possible that these individuals, we know that the bodies were staged in some way, and either it's to throw police off or it's for a purpose. And given his online stuff or their online stuff, it kind of makes me question whether or not that was the purpose.
Yeah, because somebody that just I think ran, unless he's just been killing people for a long time, somebody that just this happens probably isn't going to think, my God, I need to stage the bodies to throw off cops. It's probably the last thing they're thinking about, unless they're, like you said, there was an actual purpose.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly.
You'd be like, oh shit.
And I think at the first of the case, they were looking for signatures, right? Because and the FBI was brought in, and I always thought that was because possibly they're looking at similarities of maybe another serial killer in another state to see if it was something like that. Sure. So yeah, we definitely know from the leakage and everything. The leakage sounds so bad.
That's a funny word. That's a really funny word.
Yeah, never mind.
What about the leakage? No, seriously, go.
I just lost my thoughts, so never mind. But
that's funny.
Yeah, not really.
Oh, sorry.
But so, man, okay, Matt, like I was talking about before, are we close? Are we close?
I believe we're very close.
Okay.
I have some people that are a little closer to the family and stuff like that. I've not been told anything, that makes me aware of anything specifically, but at the same time, I'm hearing all kinds of information kind of coming out that's kind of corroborating a lot of the stuff that's leaking out there right now. So
if they would have filmed that, Matt, wouldn't they have found that on the phone, one of the phones, or possibly, unless they brought a professional camera or something? But I can't see that happening. But maybe
that's what they're looking for in the Wabash.
Yeah.
This could have been a live thing. This could have had spectators watching. I hate to brainstorm what these creeps do in these situations, but at the same time,
that'd be awful risky though, because someone would have captured that.
Yeah.
At some point, and I think they would have went to police. I would think. Well, you'd be almost too embarrassed to say you were watching it, but at the same time, if it's like because usually I think snuff films, when people, I guess, buy those, it's not really a snuff film, isn't it? More acting. I mean, does that stuff really go on? I mean, most of it's acting, isn't it?
Well, I've heard that it doesn't happen, but I don't think that that's true necessarily. There was like a VHS that used to circulate when I was a kid. It was called like Faces of Death or something.
Yeah, I watched all those.
And some of it was kind of there were real graphic videos that were interwoven with kind of fake stuff. And so watching that as a child, you would kind of believe everything that you're watching is really happening. But I'm not entirely convinced that there are people out there buying this sort of thing.
Right. Hey, there's 68 of you guys out there. You better hit that like button, or I'm not going any further.
He quits.
I quit. You guys smash that like button. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And like I said, I demonetize this.
Matt Sullivan on here.
I know. We got Matt on here.
It's good to see you.
Do it for Matt.
Good to see you guys too. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
This case is just.
What do you? So they is this? I mean, we heard this from the Murder Sheep that they transferred Kegan to Grisham Air Force Base. I mean, I guess that makes sense because that way nothing would leak out.
I think this is about concealing exactly the course of the investigation. There's something specific that he was pulled out of there on the very day that the search started like that. That whole week, that timeline, everything fits together so tightly that there's no question in my mind that that's what happened. They pulled him out of there. Maybe he's giving over information. Maybe he's not. Maybe they have evidence against him and they're trying to interrogate him on specifics.
Maybe they watch YouTube and see all the channels and think, oh my God, like one of these security guards might off this dude. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like,
I bet
you probably can't trust many people in regards to protecting this guy.
Well, listen, it could have been simply they do watch YouTube. They do probably listen to the murder sheet, and they're like, okay, someone in the fucking office is talking.
Yeah.
So let's get him at a secure place.
Right.
He's getting ready to confess. We don't want, and they don't want that out the public at all right now.
Right.
No. But supposedly they found someone that had inside knowledge and said he did make a confession.
Yep, and the documents they're getting are legitimate. They're not illegitimate. But police are being so silent on the matter that I think it's creating more harm than good. Just a few days ago with that whole he was arrested thing that spun so out of control, and because there were so many facts with those rumors that are true. It instantly was taken almost as gospel, and it spread. Like, it got to major news media, and people were calling ISP. So, like, this was a big deal. This was a big situation. People believed that he had been arrested. People still, even today, believe that he was arrested and that ISP is not telling the truth. I don't believe that at all. I don't think he was arrested, but it was an elaborate hoax that was started by some scumbags. But a lot of what they were saying was what we're hearing on those podcast releases. So I don't know.
So you think it's actually hurting the case that they're releasing a lot of the stuff?
Well, I've heard rumors, like several rumors, that law enforcement's working with them. I have to wonder why law enforcement would use a small podcast to leak information and not just go to HLN or CNN like they have in the past.
Yeah.
So something doesn't sound right when they make those claims. I do believe that their source is legitimate. I know that there's some infighting between the agencies. So you have the FBI not getting along with the Indiana State Police. They've actually named Ron Logan as the suspect. Wow. And a lot of the evidence early on in the case pointed directly to him. So, they haven't been in the investigation a couple of years. So, maybe the investigation has changed for those who are investigating at this point. But it's very strange that the FBI or several people in the FBI continue to say that Ron Logan's the killer. In spite of all the seeming movement in the Klein direction. So I think it's causing more harm. People don't know what to believe at this point. And it's always kind of been a little bit of a circus. So it can get dangerous, right? Like for Kegan, for Tony, especially Tony, who's still out on the streets. If there's vigilantes out there who, like people were calling Tony apparently and calling him a killer and like all this other stuff, all of that stuff kind of falls squarely on law enforcement not taking control of this situation properly. And if he is the suspect, it's important that they control the scene. And
definitely,
you don't want him to run or do something else if he is the suspect. And you definitely don't want people driving by his house and stalking him around town. Like that starts to become a problem in itself. So
do you have a question?
Well, no, I'm just saying that, like, that's a great point. That's a fantastic point by Matt. And that if there is a larger ring and there's more people that they're going after, they just need to find a strategic way to let people kind of in on it. Like you said, come together and come up with a plan.
Right.
I'm almost afraid that the murder sheet is attempting to force the hand of law enforcement. And the problem with that would be that they would be forced to prematurely arrest him. You know, if this gets so out of control that it becomes dangerous, you know, to the family members or to him or to Kegan in jail, they're going to be forced to act prematurely, and I think that can adversely affect the outcome of a jury or a trial. So,
it is so sensitive.
Yeah.
So
there's so.
Let me ask you this, Matt. I mean, I'm sure you've profiled the bridge guy or even would this be a guy like let's say it is Tony? Would he put a bullet in his head before going to jail, or do you think he's too much of a narcissist?
I think that a lot of it has to do with narcissism, the reason why they don't do things like that. But I also think that a lot of these individuals are afraid of death. As much as they become consumed by taking the lives of others and, you know, having a God complex over human life, most of them don't end up doing things like that because I think they're, you know, deep down cowards and are afraid of that which they're trying to take control of. And so I'm not convinced that he would do that, but the risk is there. And if you put someone in a corner who doesn't have anything left, they might be forced to do something like that. And that's just not going to look well in the end.
Yeah. Well, my next question was going to be, do you think he'd battle it out with the police, like a gunfight or something?
There's more of a chance of that, I think, than him doing something to himself.
Yeah, because those type of people usually want to act like they're a badass, and so if he knows, look, I'm done. I'm going to be probably getting the death sentence. I might as well go out to blaze of glory or whatever.
Right.
And that's what I kind of think. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Has to be under just extreme 24-hour, 7-day-a-week pressure. I mean, we're sitting here on a Wednesday night talking about it in Oklahoma City.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we're a microcosm of what's actually happening, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a valid question.
Man, I just had a question I forgot. Boom.
What are you thinking, Keith? What's on your mind?
No,
Keith?
I did have a question. And Matt, the older I get, and Matt, the older you get, my friend, things will go boom.
Oh, I'm already getting that. So
yeah.
And I'm 41, but yeah, my brain just does not work like it used to.
That's why we all get along so well.
Yeah. But yeah, let me look at some notes here, see if I got anything. We gotta have more of a show than this, man.
No, I mean, this has been fascinating, honestly.
Yeah.
But
I think I think we're close.
Well, it's crazy, Matt, because like us on our show, right? Like we just got off doing near-death experiences and ghost hunting shows. Okay, so, but we always talk about this. We probably talk about the Delphi. I would say every week at some point we talk about it, right? And so the fact that we're continuing to talk about it and we get a chance to talk to Matt is
I think this is a special case because it's not very often that you end up having such an intimate connection with the victim. We're witnessing her last moments. We're witnessing the individual who approaches them and abducts them to their death. So it's, a lot of that evidence connects with the public because we don't really get to see that in a lot of other cases.
So Matt, what's your thought about what I just, I was telling Garrett earlier, I'm sure you saw that, where every time I searched Kegan, I kept seeing that one post. It was showing up everywhere about Kegan's confession, and it told a little more than what the murder sheet told.
Oh, yeah.
Do you believe that he did burn the clothes at the backyard like he said? And that's something you could ask a neighbor, I would think. Hey, you remember someone burning something in a barrel?
You're talking about the one on Reddit?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that that's a very suspicious post. It gives a lot of information that seems to totally coincide with a lot of the other stuff that's coming out. And I think it's a very, very good theory. I have heard rumors in the past that bloody clothes were burned in a barrel, and that Kegan had given text messages or something like that to somebody that explained the whole thing, that he was in a vehicle.
God.
This was about probably a month and a half ago. I was catching wind that there were were some text messages between him and someone else talking about that. And so when this stuff sort of started coming out, it all kind of coincides together, I feel.
Wow.
What about the more
big.
audio? Because it seems like it was something we've talked about in past shows. We were like, more audio.
Well,
It
they
be...
say that it was 43 seconds long, and what you hear at the very end is when the video shuts off, is what we've been told. I don't know if you know any more to that, Matt, if there's more to on that audio or not.
I have heard that there's more to at least the 43 seconds. There's some small talk between the girls, I heard. As they approach the southeast end of the bridge, they begin to speak about the individual who's behind them. Abby asks if he's still there. Liberty confirms that yes, he is there. They get to the end and realize that there is no path. There's no more place to go. The suspect approaches from behind. We potentially hear one of the girls acknowledge that there might be a gun involved, and we hear the suspect order them down the hill. So as to the other information where there's a second bit of recording, I've thought about that, and I can't really put together why there would be two recordings, but I think it's possible.
Wow. Do you remember that?
That's so intense.
When we talked about, God, I hadn't brought this up in a long time, but that possibly whoever's on the bridge was saying they were law enforcement, that you shouldn't be up here down the hill. Do you think that's just garbage, or do you think that maybe something to that?
I kind of go back and forth. If there is more to the situation, let's say there is another recording that's below the hill, that's a very good possibility that was the ruse that this individual used to control them. Especially if he had a firearm, things like that. But I'm not sure. Everything's kind of up in the air at this point. I'm hearing about the specifics of the crime at this point a little bit, and the Klein's involvement. But other than that, everything's kind of up in the air at this point.
What do you mean by specifics?
Well, like I just mean like I'm hearing the same rumors that everybody else is hearing. And I have a lot of like contacts that are content creators, things like that. And we all kind of network and talk about things that we're hearing, and we show
Froze.
Oh, he froze.
Oh no.
You froze, Matt. Here, hang on, let me see if I can get him back. Remove him, put him back.
Boop, there he is.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, did I disappear?
Yeah, man, you froze, and so I re-clicked it. So let's talk about this search, Matt. In fact, right before I just got done starting the show, I was watching a YouTuber, and he was saying that he had from sources that they did find something indeed.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. I heard that they were specifically looking for a knife and potentially a phone device. This was probably over a month ago, and I think it might have been a week ago, this past Saturday, that the search abruptly stopped. There was a helicopter spotted, things like that. I heard rumors that whatever they ended up obtaining from the river was taken into immediate custody and potentially brought to Indianapolis. I don't know how true any of that is, but it all makes sense to me. They're trying to kind of diminish the custody of these objects if they are important to the case, and it would make sense. So,
wow. So I mean,
4 weeks is a long ass time.
It is, and that's the thing I thought, man. I thought, man, they've been searching 4 weeks. They haven't found anything. Yeah. But maybe, like I said, maybe they had a little bucket list, but a list to go through and see if they could retrieve certain items. I wonder what else he could have thrown off. I mean, the phone, and also that's something else I was thinking about. When you use an iPhone, everything goes to cloud, doesn't it? Anyway, I mean,
yeah, it does. It does. So I don't think they're necessarily looking for a device that's going to have any information on it. I think any information that they have, they already have. I think they're just trying to corroborate, maybe testimony. He's a known liar. This is a guy who pathologically lies. He'll lie to you and say one thing and then lie to you 10 seconds later with the opposite of what he just said.
Right.
So I think they really have to verify things. And if he truly is confessing or giving over information, they're going to have to kind of piece this together properly. And I think that's why, they spent this amount of money, because they spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this river search. And
yeah, well, that was my point earlier, is like, if he was a liar, like a week after looking in the river, they'd be like, okay, we're not spending all this money and time.
Yeah.
So
and you notice
right?
you notice in the beginning too, there were rumors going around that it was just a training thing. There were only maybe 4 or 5 officers in the water in the beginning, and as it progressed, suddenly crime scene investigators were brought out there. They were doing 3D mapping. They had drones, and then it expanded. They started cutting down trees and actually like dredging small areas and digging in wooded areas. So like it went from having maybe 4 or 5 different officers in the beginning, when they were probably trying to test out whether or not he was telling the truth.
Right.
And as they found credible evidence, or at least something that was pointing to it being credible, it expanded. And that would have been over the last like 3 weeks probably that it really expanded.
Which is a long ass time.
It is. It is.
A lot of resources.
And so, Matt, you saw that map I showed earlier. And there's a bridge right there close to Tony's. Is that the bridge that they're looking at, or is it further down, or do you know?
If you were to look at the map, I think the bridge that they're searching is to the left of Tony's house. So it would be west.
Okay, let me pull that up real quick. Okay, so that bridge that we're seeing over, which would be the west side.
Yep.
Right there. God, that's so close.
And there's a small pedestrian bridge that's right near there, and they were kind of searching in between there. So,
man, that's almost kind of a stupid place to put it, just because it's so close to your house. But
380 is.
Huh?
I agree.
380.
Yeah, the 380 is like, do you? And that's another thing, Matt, I want to ask you. Do you think that 380 was his?
I think there's if there is a 380, if he's not lying about that 380, then I think the circumstances speak for themselves.
Have you heard any rumors that the police may still have that weapon, or did they get rid of it, you think? Or
I'm not sure. If they were unable to link that to a crime at that point, then they might have already destroyed it.
Surely,
that's what I'm thinking.
Surely, though, because it came out and said in 6 months we're going to do this. Surely somebody read that and was like, "Whoa, what about Delphi?"
Yeah,
I was surely right.
I would hope.
Yeah, but you would hope so. But at that time, they didn't even. I mean, they had arrested Kegan, but released him at 2019. He wasn't in custody, so they cleared him, kind of. Right. So
yeah, but at that
Peru
time,
is still
all the YouTubers are freaking out. But the whole country's freaking out still.
Yeah, I don't know.
Surely somebody would have read that and be like, "Wait, whoa," but maybe not. I don't
and
know.
that was found within a month of the 2019 presser too. I'm pretty sure.
Oh wow!
Like surely, because Kokomo is pretty close, or Peru, right?
Yeah,
it's not.
Well, it's not. It's not. Yeah, it's not.
I think it's 25 or 30 miles, maybe at the most, or something.
He's from
I drive 30 miles to work every day.
Yeah. That's my point, though. At least somebody would have been like, "Whoa, we should hang on to this, guys."
So, do you believe, like, also in that statement that they said that his attorney is willing or trying to make a deal to completely not charge him with the murders for the confession?
Yeah, I think that's a joke.
I do too.
I don't think that that's going to stand. But at the same time, these defendants, these types of people, they try to diminish their roles in crimes and try to get off with nothing. There's no way, after all the damage that this guy's caused, if he is connected to this crime, that they're going to let him off.
No way in hell.
No.
Not a snowball's chance in hell, right, Matt?
He might not get the death penalty. It might be something like that. But
what about drop all the CP charges if you tell on your dad?
They might do something like that, but he's still going to be an accessory to murder. There's no way if he's involved, they're never going to let him off for that.
But couldn't you see them though still saying, well, let's say Kegan swears up and down he didn't know his dad's going to kill him. That's second-degree murder there. So you know maybe he might get 30 years, 40 years.
He's still potentially looking at abduction. If those rumors are true, which I believe they are, I realize that Kegan stated that he he waited in the vehicle and stuff like that.
Of course you're gonna say that.
This is what criminals do. Okay, they diminish their role in the
Yep.
crime, and if he's admitting to being in the vehicle, he must have done some really bad things.
Now, how interesting is this going to be, Matt, if they do arrest Tony and then hear Tony's side of it? Because you're going to get, you know what I mean? It's going to be pointing fingers at it was his idea.
This is the process.
Which doesn't matter. You're going to prison, dude. You killed 2
Yeah.
girls. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see what he has to say about that.
Very interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's all going to come directly into place.
I agree, man.
All the confusion that we've had over the last like 5 or 6 years is just automatically going to suddenly make sense, like it is already starting to at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't understand the sketches. I don't quite understand why, some of the things that Doug Carter has stated about the sketch.
Yeah.
I go back and forth as to whether or not that sketch represents the catfish
Anthony Shaw
individual,
right.
or who it could represent, because it really, the first sketch to me looks more like Kegan than it does his father.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. The sketches always confuse me because, like, what you got a young guy and you got a guy that looks like he's in his mid 40s, early 50s.
We talk about eyewitnesses' memories and
a
lot on the show, like a lot.
Yeah, but that's such a drastic difference.
It is, but me, I'm a super recognizer. So
I know.
I thought that the drawing looked like Anthony Shots a lot, honestly.
And maybe that's what's going to end up happening. Once they reveal the circumstances of the crime, maybe we're going to find out that both sketches involve 2 different individuals. Maybe there's a misidentification there. Maybe it represents the Snapchat image. Sure. But I think no matter what, police are going to be able to explain away why it was so confusing, and it will make sense.
It is interesting to me that, like, because we only do this show, every so often, but it's always been so confusing. But this time around, I do feel like it's interesting that a lot of the things that, people were talking about early on and through the years kind of were true a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And we're it is coming more into focus.
Yeah, man. So I hate that because I know he's such a liar. We know Kegan's such a liar. Yeah. And of course, like we said, he's going to minimize his effort into this, but I'm kind of team Matt on, I'm starting to think maybe that was him on the bridge and taking the girls. Would his dad been down the hill already or up the hill?
Well, supposedly, if you go by some of the rumors that are out there, he was already on Ron Logan's land. And so then you have some questions. Okay. You have some questions as to Ron Logan's, whether or not he's complicit in something, because there are a lot of strange circumstances concerning the crime when it concerns him as well. If we read his warrant, that affidavit lists a lot of things that kind of make us raise eyebrows.
Why did he ask it for an alibi before he even knew the girls were dead?
Well, and that's the thing. He was asking for that specific time when the girls were abducted. He was asking for a false alibi in that moment. And it was 3 hours before the girls were found. So we're talking on February 14th at 9 o'clock in the morning. He's calling his cousin, asking him to lie about an alibi for the time the girls are abducted. Before anyone knows the girls are abducted.
Right. That's the thing that, because you and I talked several months ago about that too. And I was like, man, it sure sounds like now is he the bridge guy? But of course, I don't think he was. But the other thing too, Matt, was remember they showed his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife or something, a picture of bridge guy, didn't say anything to him. And she goes, she goes, why do you have showing me a picture of Ron? And it claimed he had a little pouch that he always kept a handgun in.
It was actually a leather holster that he would wear on his right hip. And the gun holster wouldn't fit vertically. It would kind of go horizontal. So the handle of the gun would be where his right hand was kind of fixed.
What are the chances it's him on the bridge?
I still think that I go back and forth on that. I'm not sure. There are a lot of strange things concerning his cell data. that really freaked me out a little bit. He was near the crime scene between 7:58 and 10:16 p.m. He received text messages well at that scene. In the receiving of those text messages, that means the signal found the phone.
Right.
Specific GPS coordinates were given to that area. It was just a little bit away from where the bodies were found. And this would have been on February 13th while everybody's searching across the way. Another strange thing that always is in the back of my mind, I've asked Becky Patty personally whether or not she saw Ron Logan the night they were searching, and he was nowhere to be found. He was not helping with the search. He was not in the area to even have real knowledge of all the things that were going on. So there are a lot of things that kind of stick in the back of my mind that make me question.
Me too, man. Me too.
His involvement.
When I read that affidavit, I was like, that's what started confusing me. It's like, okay, so is this guy the bridge guy? I just could not fathom why he had an alibi before he even knew the girls were dead. That just doesn't make sense for you to call your it doesn't add up.
The only thing that I can think of is that he, heard about the search and went down to his area of the creek to watch and found the bodies the night before. And in finding them, realizing, that he's got a criminal past, that this potentially is going to be pinned on him as a knee-jerk reaction, he contaminates the scene.
Yeah.
Gets up in the morning, freaking out, doesn't know what he's going to do. And all of this is speculating. I don't have any inside knowledge of what happened, but
that could be.
That's the only other possibility is
because
that.
Didn't he just get out of jail not too long ago before this happened or something? Or
yeah, he had been on probation for a couple years for DUI and stuff like that. But he has a violent past. He's
oh really?
He's assaulted women. Things like that. There are a lot of spouses that have come forward, and I've spoke to them personally. And he was abusive to everyone that I've spoken to in some way.
Wow. So what, has his wife ever talked about abuse or anything?
Yeah. Okay. His girlfriends, people he lived with, and like I said, I've personally spoken to these people. They have no reason to come forward with the information. If you look in that warrant too, the FBI is listing those things as a factor for his, the type of person he is. And there are several girlfriends that came forward to say that they believe that he was the one that killed the girls. So it's very hard to say. I do believe the Kleins are the angle that law enforcement are heavily focusing on, because I think that's the good lead. But I question Ron Logan's, the circumstances of Ron Logan's night that day.
Yeah, which we'll never find out since he's passed away.
Right.
So, not that. Well, I mean, I guess Tony, if he was involved, do you think Tony and Kegan would talk about him being involved in it, or?
Well, I think it would be in their best. It would be in their best interest to throw some blame on anyone who's involved once they're brought in for questioning, because if they don't do that, it's all going to be pinned on them. And this is what these cowards do, right? Like they'll never take the blame for themselves.
So if they got the knife, let's just say they have the knife and they got maybe a phone, they can definitely link it back. Why not an arrest already? You would think they would get right on that, but are they still building a case maybe? Or
I'm a little bit concerned that maybe it has to do with the leaks. Given the fact that the murder sheet chose to leak that Ron Logan warrant several months ago, I think it potentially taints a jury, especially if Ron Logan has been exonerated at this point.
Right.
I really don't see any purpose for that information to have been put out there other than to confuse the public, which in the end, if they're trying to pin this on the Kleins, putting out evidence against another suspect is going to create a plausible defense for him.
Wow.
So
the legal system, man,
yeah,
it's difficult.
They have to really make sure that they're getting everything done properly.
Yeah, because they got that double jeopardy thing, right?
Yep.
So, Man, I just, like I said, I hope we are close. I hope this is going to be over with within a month or something. Then get some justice for these poor little girls and their families.
I know. It's been too long.
It's just it's so sad. I just want to say to the chat right now, guys, I'm sorry. I used to have another person, my wife, that would read the chats and hand me questions, but I don't have that. So I haven't been able to look at the chat, and I do apologize. I'm going to try to take care of that shortly in the future. And if you're new here, please subscribe. We are almost to 1,700. If we could just get to 2,000.
I think we can. We'll get it up there.
I hope so. We're 1,689 subs right now.
We do a show every week, though.
I know, but
rain, sleet, hell, or snow. Me and Keith on here talking to mediums and all sorts of crazy stuff.
But the true. I mean, look, we got 83 people watching. It
always draws us back.
Yep.
Because we do truly love covering true crime. But like Matt, you were saying earlier, this is the craziest case in so many different ways. And for me, like, I love First 48 and all those investigative shows, right? The fact that they have audio and picture in a double homicide
and haven't solved it yet
is so baffling.
Yeah, I even heard a cop I knew that told me, he goes, dude, I wish we could have something like that on every murder. He said, but and I got to say this, I mean, and I'm not trashing Delphi Police Department, but God dang, Matt, that thing was handled so wrong.
No, they did a horrible job, a horrendous job, actually. I have a very good source who told me that they lost the thumbprint that was taken from one of the bodies.
My God.
There are several aspects to this case that law enforcement are really scrambling to, not publicly put out there, because I think in the end, this is going to look really bad for those who were investigating, in the beginning.
Yeah.
For sure.
The fact that the FBI seems to be fighting with ISP, that there seems to be some weird back and forth going on. They're not really getting along. All of that stuff kind of spells disaster for the future. They were trying to say that the FBI botched some evidence by not gathering the footage from the Marathon gas station, that kind of stuff. And I think that finger pointing kind of is a warning to the public that more is to come. I think in the end, we're going to be like, oh my God, this is bad. But
okay, yeah, back up. The Marathon, explain. I read something about that, but I didn't hear what the specifics were. Did they have film footage of?
Supposedly Kegan had searched on his phone the Marathon gas station address in Delphi on the day of the murders. And so the FBI was supposedly sent to this Marathon to gather the CCTV footage, and they botched that apparently. I'm not entirely convinced of it. I haven't been shown evidence of this being the truth. But it is definitely a rumor that's out there that happened.
I really hope they didn't do that.
I have a bad feeling. I have a bad feeling.
Do you, man?
I don't doubt it at all.
Crazy. That's going to be, well, I mean, that is one thing about this case, though, and we talked about it in the past, is for a small community to have this and just the way it all started out, it was always going to be like this.
Yeah.
Just the way it started out.
So, Matt, when you and Kate were out there, I guess you saw the murder site.
Yep.
If you would have been a few yards back, would it have been hard to see the bodies? Was it like in a culvert, or what? Can you explain that to us and share that with us?
It's as you get closer to the creek, it flattens out. And so from the other side, the bank is sitting lower than the creek on the other side.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you can't see up there from the other side, but it's surrounded by hills, and so it's pretty easy to see the area. Like, even 100 feet away, you probably would have been able to see the bodies. Maybe not in the dark, but definitely during the day.
Wow. So, man, the fact that he called off the search,
terrible choices.
Can you imagine if they? I mean, because like I always said, if I would have lit that place up like a damn football field, I would have got rented lights or whatever. And I mean, and that's easy for me to say, but I still, you don't call off a search of 2 little girls.
Well, and you have to wonder about the ineptitude of a law enforcement officer that calls, all the trained professionals out of the area and allows the city to continue to contaminate a potential crime scene.
For sure.
Because there were hundreds and hundreds of people down there. By the time they took control of the crime scene, it was so contaminated with urine and spit and
cigarette butts
just
and
DNA. They literally had to go through hundreds and hundreds of articles of DNA, and I think that's why they have no idea whether or not they have the suspect's DNA, because it's just so it's so screwed up at this point that they're just trying to get real hard evidence. And I think ISP's onto it
For sure.
but it's taken 6 years on what should have taken months to investigate.
Right.
That's what I wanted to ask you too on the DNA, because I'd heard it actually wasn't human DNA; it was a dog hair or something. That was the DNA they were looking for. Is that?
Yeah, I have heard that.
True.
Yeah, I've heard that there isn't human DNA.
There can't be.
At least in the immediate vicinity of the crime itself.
Right.
There are things that I've heard about the crime scene that make me raise an eyebrow, like the potentially the scene was washed with water, that there was some form of emulsifier or cleaner that was put in the area. But if Ron Logan found those bodies, touched them, freaked out, and began contaminating the scene by trying to wash his DNA from the area, all of that could contaminate that stuff, and it's very unfortunate. I think they should have taken control right off the bat. And
oh my, yeah. If you think about it, I mean,
such a bad mistake.
Think about, we're seeing certain circumstances close to this, as like Kylie Rodney. They had every kid out in that field looking for her. So I mean, they almost pulled a Delphi.
Well, my thing is with the Rodney case is also their search in the water. I mean, they were like, yeah, it's not, the car's not here. I mean, in Delphi, they're searching for 4 weeks now.
Right.
So that, and I always say this about this case, the one positive about how messed up it was in the beginning is now the pressure's on.
Yeah.
Like there's no mistakes that can be made from this point on, which I believe is why it's probably taking so long. They can't fuck it up. They already did that in the beginning. That's why we're here. So all eyes are on, pressure's on. So that to me is why it's taking longer. Yeah,
like knowing all the damage that's already been caused, and knowing that it would be imperative that law enforcement did not release information in these crucial moments.
Right.
That's one of the main reasons why I look at that podcast and shake my head and say shame on them, because there's no way that I can see law enforcement condoning the leak of this information out there like this.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. And what good does it do for law enforcement?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
This is stuff that law enforcement already knows, right?
Right. Yeah.
They're just telling the public, and unless this is a supernova rare event for law enforcement in this investigation, I can't see this ever being a strategy that law enforcement would ever use.
Right. No, for sure.
Absolutely. That's bizarre. But yeah, just like I said, the Kylie Rodney case, when I thought of Delphi immediately when I saw all these teenagers just out in the woods. I was like, oh, here we fucking go again. They're contaminated. If there was, it could have been an accident. I'm kind of leaning towards that a little bit. I don't know yet. But did you see that, Matt? Today I watched another podcast, or not a podcast, but YouTube, and someone got the death certificate of Kylie.
Wow.
And it said cause of death. It said pending. And they had the date of death when Adventures with Purpose pulled her out, which I think was the 21st, which I thought was kind of odd.
Some states do that in order for death to be certified. It has to be certified by a certain individual, and so the date of death will be when they're found.
Right.
Some states don't do that. Like they'll actually specify when they're found, as well as when the death is presumed to have occurred.
So you find the pending part of it like that maybe an investigation, or?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. I was going to say, well, but the thing I thought, if let's just say someone hit her over the head. Well, blunt force trauma to the head. You think they would put that on the death certificate? But I guess if it's an active, I was surprised they got a hold of it. But I mean, it had the raised seal, everything. This guy showed it on TV, so it looked. I mean, everything can be photoshopped, everything can be faked, but it looked pretty real. So
it definitely sounds preliminary. If they still have pending on it, though, that's one thing that I would hold off on saying whether or not it's authentic, just because it's a death certificate that's still saying pending on there. It kind of, I'm not sure how all of that works, but if there is an investigation, there obviously there are factors at play that aren't so black and white in that situation, in my opinion.
Wow, weird.
Oh my God, dude.
Well, do you have any more questions, young man?
I could talk about this Delphi and investigations and stuff like that all night. This is it, though. I mean, this is the case, right?
Yeah,
all the case. I mean, we've done a ton of cases, different cases, but this is always the one where you're like, everything you've learned from the other cases, this one turns on its head.
Yeah,
like everything.
I agree.
And so, I just appreciate having Matt, honestly.
Yeah, thank you so much, Matt, for coming on.
No problem, man. Anytime.
But man, also like the CP charges, would they drop all of that, Matt? You think? I mean, I guess they probably would for a murder case, right? Or would they not? Or would they like say, okay, you're going to get 20 years to the 40? He's still going to get a ton of years anyway for being an accomplice,
right?
Yeah, there are components to sexual crimes that are involved in this crime as well. So, maybe they'll find a way to charge him with some form of exploitation if it ends up getting determined that he was involved when it comes to this crime, and that might be how they lower his charges. Mm-hmm. I don't think that he's going to be charged with 30 counts. Usually they plea a little bit, but
yeah.
I think if he's involved in any way in this crime, they're going to throw the book at him. And Indiana's a capital punishment state, so
yeah. I mean, can you imagine even if he, like, let's say he didn't get charged with murder, but he gets charged for CP,
regardless,
right? He's going to go to prison and they're going to kill him.
No, his lawyer
and abduction causing death, conspiracy to commit murder, just because he says, I didn't know about the murder, they're going to go by the evidence. And I think if he pulled up and, covered his face like we know he did, and he walked across the bridge at gunpoint, this was the commission of a dangerous and violent crime. I don't know what they were trying to do in that moment, but he should not be. He should get life for what he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and his lawyer needs to tell him he's just going to be all by himself in a room. He's never going to get to see another person.
Right.
Yeah.
Because literally they will kill him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they will. I mean, and someone was saying on one of the YouTube channels, they go, well, they haven't done anything to him in jail. And the guy was going, well, look, he goes, jail's different. Those guys are trying to get out. They want, and they don't want to start any trouble because they want to get out of jail.
Right.
Prison's a whole different deal.
Yep.
That's when you got lifers who are in there who aren't going to give a shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Surely
like Dahmer.
Dahmer,
was killed within a year or two after he was in prison. So that's going to happen.
Yep.
Well, all right, Matt. Well, man, thank you so much for your time, buddy.
No problem, man. Really good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's great seeing you.
I hope all's well, and thanks everybody for showing up and listen to us.
And tell them, Matt, we want to get 2,000 people. 2,000. We're just 300 or 400 away from that, you guys.
If you have not subscribed, make sure you do.
Thank you,
please.
Matt.
Thank you, Matt. And hit the like button.
You.
All right,
buddy.
appreciate it, man. We 2,000.
Yeah,
all right.
I see.
Take care, buddy.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
See you, bud.
I always love talking to him.
Yeah, he's smart.
He's smart, and it's just always a good.
He should have went to detective school.
He should have.
Is there such a thing? No, I guess you got to go. Well, no, you go through the police academy.
I went through detective school.
Yeah, first grade.
I would go through if I could.
Man, I could. You know what? Being a homicide detective, there's no way I could do it.
I know.
I mean, the things those guys see.
I know.
I mean, you're taking that home every day. You're probably having nightmares, and no thanks, man.
No thanks.
No, thank
I mean, we
you.
can't even do a series of shows. Like we're gonna have to take a break from true crime soon.
Yeah.
Hey, I
need a UFO guy. We need a
You know
UFO
how
guy.
hard it is.
I know to find someone
a
who wants
UFO
to.
guy that we can carry on a conversation with.
How cool would it be
No
if we get
offense to UFO people. I'm
UFO
just saying,
abduction?
can we please? Hey, we had one great one when Dean McMurray was on doing the reading for what's his name, your friend
Scott. Yeah.
Scott. That was legit, dude.
Yeah, that was something I didn't even know about when Scott
abducted.
said I've been abducted. I was like, what?
Yeah. Dean's like, why am I getting? I talked to Dean, by the way.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he reached out. Such an awesome dude.
Cool.
He's like, I'm gonna come down and do a live event. So we'll let
if
you
he
guys
does,
know.
yeah. If Dean
we
comes
do
down,
live events, no big deal.
we're gonna do probably a live ghost hunt with Dean McMurray if he gets an event down here.
Absolutely.
We'll have to do it on our phone. That's gonna suck, but that's all right. That'll still be a lot of fun. Look, we lost like 15 people. As soon as Matt leaves,
No
boom.
way. Look, hey, in conclusion about since we're doing the Delphi episode really fast.
Yeah.
Early on, you said you thought it was 2 people. I always said 1 person.
Yeah, I thought it was 2.
Early on, I said it has to be catfishing.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
But that's because the police lied to everybody,
Right, but
and that's what everybody.
I'm just pointing
I
out
know-
a
no,
couple
but
things
yeah.
because we don't do this case every day, right?
No, we do not.
But I'm saying it's kind of been to our benefit a
Yeah.
little bit because we get to look at it in an unbiased way and talk about it,
Right.
right? And so this was a fascinating conversation. It always is with this case.
Yeah.
And I hope it's helping, honestly.
Yeah, and when they make that arrest, we'll do another show.
Absolutely. Hopefully it's really soon.
Hopefully we can get Matt back on. But I'm sure with his group, I'm sure that day that happens, he's going to want to go live. But then we'll get him a couple days later or something.
We'll be so just happy though, man, to put
Oh, yeah.
this case
To rest.
to rest. The
We can-
family's at ease.
Yeah.
All the YouTubers can find something else to do.
Yeah.
They can come listen to our ghost shows.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So.
But anyway, I want to just thank everybody for,
Yeah.
especially all you new people, because, we usually don't have 80. We had 90 people in chat.
I mean, we'll blow your
watching,
minds if you try it.
Yeah, and I want to thank you guys so much. And if you're brand new, man, please subscribe. We do true crime, but we do a lot of paranormal. So if you're interested in ghosts, near-death experiences, UFOs,
I'm a
Bigfoot, that
Bigfoot
kind of
believer
thing.
now.
He's a Bigfoot believer.
I used to laugh about it.
So, yeah. So I got to do this for you, Garrett, real quick.
Come on in. We'll change your mind.
Here, yeah. Hang on a second. I'm gonna
What do you got for me?
I'm gonna do this for Garrett.
Oh, yay!
Let me find it here. Oh, there it is. Boom.
It's my favorite, dude.
There you go,
That's
Garrett.
a real Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. Look at
It looks like a ninja.
It almost looks like a mask with a guy's
Dude,
nose sticking
why
out of
is
it.
he so buff.
That
Bigfoot is so freaking buff, dude.
I know,
Wow.
because
Look
it's
at that
real.
head.
That's the Patterson video. That's the one that everybody
I
does.
know.
That's the one that they've actually had doctors look at, physiologists look at, and they said that they can tell that there's muscles
For
contracting in the leg and stuff.
Okay, listen.
I don't know.
Bigfoot's an alien crossing dimensions, spurring curiosity for humans,
Maybe
and was responsible for Diathov Pass. That's my
it sure,
Bigfoot
man. That
right
does
there.
sound like it, doesn't it?
There we go.
All right, well, guys, thank you again, and to you new people, thank you so much. I saw a lot of people join the Facebook page, which thank you, Matt. I'm sure that was a lot of you guys coming over, and we do appreciate that. We don't take it lightly. Like I said, look, I don't monetize my channel. If you want to give us something through PayPal or Cash App, that's fine. But I just thought, man, I hate watching commercials, and I don't want my viewers to have to do that. So I completely got rid of AdSense, and I'm done with them. And so no more commercials, and we'll just do
Now we can say whatever the hell we want.
yeah, I can say the F word, and I
did. I
got
apologize.
I got to play Iron
Yeah.
Maiden today, and I won't I'll get a copyright strike, but it says owner is fine as long as you don't monetize.
Oh, we're gonna be hyping people.
So we're gonna be
be
playing all sorts of songs for you guys. But anyway, we love you guys. Thank you so much for spending time for us. And like I said to you new guys, please like, subscribe, share. We're trying to build this channel, man. Like I said, I'm not trying to make money off this because I demonetized everything. Man, I just want to have a big family like we're in our living room.
Conversations.
Yeah. Yep. That's what, and I just want everybody to be comfortable and have fun and a place you can go, and we take care of the trolls. Our moderators will.
We don't have any because we're awesome.
Yeah. It's because no one knows about us, Garrett. No one even knows we exist.
I love it.
All right. Well, we love you guys.
Good night.
We'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye.
Peace out.